He survived an accident that broke every bone in his body and should have killed him, but his miracle recovery turned him into a cybernetic slave. Let's get into the video and find out who is Ramrod. The man who would become Ramrod began life far from steel plating and cybernetic muscle. Before the metal, before the mayhem, he was an hard-edged foreman of an offshore oil rig, a man who pushed his crew as relentlessly as the tides beneath them. They called him Ramrod because of his relentless drive, but all it took was one catastrophic moment to end that life forever. A full oil drum snapped loose, plummeting down onto him with bone-shattering force. He survived, but every bone in his body was broken. He would never be mobile again. His future was gone. What should have been the end of his story instead became the opening chapter of his life as a supervillain. Moondragon, who had recently returned to Earth on her quest to stop the mad titan Thanos, was seeking allies. She connected with San Francisco attorney Kerwin J. Broderick, who convinced her that Thanos had already begun corrupting Earth and they had to act fast to stop him. Under his guidance, Moondragon selected 3 men to receive superpowers to fight Thanos and his minions. In reality, Broderick had no intention of saving the world. What he did have was a plan to seize control of San Francisco. When Ramrod's broken body crossed his path, Broderick saw an opportunity. He enlisted Moondragon to help him rebuild the injured foreman into a cybernetic marvel. His shattered skeleton was replaced with metal bands. His muscles were reinforced with cybernetic power. What rose from the operating table was a fusion of flesh and machinery. Ramrod was now a weaponized silhouette of the man he once was. When he came to, Broderick revealed to him that a lethal chemical had been implanted inside of his new body, a poison that could end his life instantly if he ever disobeyed. Ramrod became Broderick's enforcer, a blunt instrument aimed at anyone who dared to stand in the way of his rise to power. Broderick then convinced Moondragon that Daredevil was in league with Thanos, and he became Ramrod's first target. Sent to retrieve sensitive documents and eliminate Daredevil, he broke into Black Widow's home in search of the papers. It led to a clash with Daredevil, Black Widow, and Spider-Man. The battle quickly spilled out onto the streets and across the city. During the battle, he fell off of a roof and the impact put him back into a coma. When he awoke days later, he found himself in a police hospital and immediately broke out. Meanwhile, Daredevil was able to expose Broderick's lies, convincing Moondragon that she had been manipulated. She joined the heroes, stripping Dark Messiah of his power while the others battled Ramrod. Then Broderick arrived with T-Rex, merging with the creature in a final bid for domination. The fight migrated to Golden Gate Park, where Captain Marvel taunted Ramrod into charging headfirst into a wall, knocking himself unconscious. Broderick and T-Rex were defeated. No longer having to serve anyone, Ramrod drifted to New York, where he tried to land a gig as a country singer at Mickey's Bar. When the owner wouldn't even give him a chance to audition, Spike took over. He found a chemistry professor and forced him to brew a toxin he could use to spike the bar's beer with, which would drive those who drank it mad. Just by chance, Peter Parker happened to be at the bar when it broke into chaos. Realizing the patrons had been poisoned, as Spider-Man, he raced out to secure the antidote. When Spider-Man returned with the antidote, Ramrod revealed himself and attacked him. Spider-Man lured him to a nearby junkyard and pinned him beneath a massive magnet, ending his rampage. Next, he re-emerged at a congressional hearing. Disguised in a trench coat and a hat, he tried to attack the Fantastic Four at the hearing, but he only made it 3 steps before tripping over his own disguise and knocking himself out in front of the entire chamber, and Ramrod was arrested. Later, he would once again resurface, this time at AIM's Weapons Exposition, a gathering of mercenaries and criminals. Captain America, who was there undercover as Crossbones, was forced into a brutal gauntlet arranged by Batroc the Leaper. Ramrod was one of his opponents, and he nearly crushed Captain America's throat before Cap jabbed him in the eyes and exploited the few organic weak points Ramrod had left, defeating him. Since his encounter with Captain America, he's been reduced to a character who shows up now and then in the bar with no name. For all of his missteps and misfortunes, Ramrod remains a formidable creation. His cybernetic reconstruction grants him superhuman strength, speed, stamina, agility, and reflexes, all supported by steel bands replacing his bones and metal plating reinforcing his skull, shoulders, chest, back, and hands. His durability allows him to withstand impacts that would pulverize ordinary bone, and his enhanced endurance lets him fight long past human limits. Despite his size, he moves with surprising quickness, fighting with the raw, dirty techniques of a street brawler who trusts brute force over finesse. Yet for all of the metal fused to his frame, his remaining organic parts, especially his face, remain vulnerable. That's the origin of the Marvel character Ramrod. Now please don't let the story end here. Hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to help us keep forging new videos stronger than Ramrod's Steel Bandit bones. Well, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. Peace.